The LEGO Star Wars Helmet series has been one of the most interesting series of LEGO sets when it comes to investing and LEGO values going up over time over the last couple of years. This is a series of sets where they're depicting the helmets of the characters in the Star Wars universe, and this is a series that is packed with collectability, beautiful display pieces that look great on a shelf when they're displayed next to each other. And fans cannot just buy one of these sets. Of course, you want to go back and finish your collection by buying some of the sets that you missed out on that retired a couple of years ago. And this has led to the prices on eBay and Amazon flying up on many of these helmet sets. As a LEGO investor, I've been super interested in watching the values of this series of sets, and I've invested personally in almost all of these helmet series of sets over the last couple of years, buying hundreds of units of multiple of them. But is the game over for investing in the helmet series? That's what we're going to look at today. We're going to look at the performance of all of the Star Wars helmets that have retired up until now, and then we're going to talk about the ones that are still available and retiring this year, and whether or not I think that they will reach the same heights as the ones that have retired already. And we're going to do this by looking at price charts of the Amazon US price. So just to call out, this is Amazon data. Every country is going to have different prices. So we're going to look at Amazon US prices on these helmet series sets and talk about what has happened in retirement on the values of these sets. And before we jump in, I do want to let you know that if you want to learn more about investing in LEGO sets and buying LEGO sets before values go up, I've got a free guide that you can download in the description down below. So make sure to grab that guide if you want to learn my 5-step process for building a LEGO investing business. So with that, let's just jump in. Let's talk about these helmet sets. And I'm a huge fan of these helmet sets. I love the design of these sets. I think they've done a phenomenal job, especially at the price point that these sets have been sold at. Most of them have been somewhere in the region of $50 to $80 or so. And I think it's a great price point for what you get inside the box. These sets look like they're jam-packed with value, and the designs are very, very well put together. They're a series of sets, like I said, they're packed with collectability because you cannot just buy one of these sets. Luke on this picture looks a little bit lonely, and you just want to put him next to another one. And here you can see Scout Trooper and Darth Vader next to each other, and they just look so much better when they're displayed next to each other. And even if we look at the listing for some of these sets on lego.com, you will notice that they really do play up on the idea that you want to collect them. We can even see expand your galaxy right here, grow your LEGO Star Wars helmet collection. So the idea is you don't just buy one of these things, you buy multiple. And if you scroll down here on lego.com or on any other retailer really, they are going to be recommending that you pick up some of the other helmet series sets. What does this do? It leads to collectability, it leads to fans trying to go and pick up the ones that they missed so they can finish their collection. Whenever we see strong collectability in LEGO, it can really lead to values going up over time because demand is sustained even in retirement. And there's a reason for people to go search for the Stormtrooper helmet or the TIE Fighter pilot helmet because they're currently buying the ones that are still available in retail stores today. And this is magnified when new sets come out in the series. So whenever a new wave of helmets come out, then people get really excited about them again. And then they get more of an urge to go back and buy the retired sets that they missed out on. So whenever we see a series of sets that get new waves every single year, I get excited about the values of the past ones. Now, we're going to come back to this and talk about why this might be bad for the helmet series because we are not seeing any new sets this year in 2024, and it's possible that this series of sets is now over. There's a chance that we're not going to see any more of these in the future. And we've got 11 helmet series sets that have already been released, and this could be the end of the series. We might be ending at 11 sets. 6 of those 11 have already retired, so we can go and look at those values and talk about what is the return on investment if you bought those sets. And then the other 5 are still available in stores, so we could talk about should we be investing in those, and that's what we're going to do here. So let's just jump in and start looking at some of these sets right here. And if I pull up Brick Set, we can see a nice list of these 11 sets. We can see we have TIE Fighter pilot, Stormtrooper helmet, Boba Fett helmet, Darth Vader helmet, and this is ordered by the release date. Scout Trooper helmet, we have Skywalker Red 5 helmet, we have Mandalorian helmet, Dark Trooper helmet, Captain Rex, Clone Commander Cody, and Princess Leia with the Bouche helmet. So we have 11 here, and we're going to jump into some of the ones that have already retired because not all of these are gone yet from the shelves. So first up, we're going to look at a price chart of the TIE Fighter pilot. Now this one is notorious. A lot of us in the LEGO investing community know all about this set because of how strong of a performer it was in terms of the value going up. And if you invested in this set before it retired and you're still sitting on some of them, you still have some in storage, you're sitting on a gold mine, put simply, because this set right now on Amazon is selling for $410. This was a $60 retail price. $60 now selling for $410. And you can see this price chart has just gone completely insane. It retired back here at the end of 2021, and we can see very, very quickly over the course of the first 6 months of retirement, this set went up to $190 at the buy box on Amazon. So already at that point, it's a phenomenal investment. You bought it for $60, and that's if you paid full price for it, because this was discounted a couple times. It was a Target exclusive in the US, so it was a little bit harder to find. You couldn't buy it on other retail sites. And over the course of those first 6 months, we see it even reaching $214 here in July of 2022, 6 months after retirement. So again, you bought it for full price at $60, and now you're selling it for $214. Now, if you held on to it, it was flat for the second half of that first year of retirement, but then a lot of the supply started to sell down in Q4 right here, and we see this ginormous rise in the price right here over the first quarter of the second year of retirement. So by around April of 2023, it had been retired for a year and 4 months at that point, and it was selling for $354 on Amazon. And this thing was selling like crazy at this point. We can actually see the green lines in the second chart here shows us that there were a lot of sales, even at these high prices, $354. Again, because the helmet series was in full swing at this point. In fact, April 2023 was around the time that the final wave were released. We saw a handful of new releases in the helmet series, and we see a lot of excitement every time we get new releases in a series of sets. So over the course of the rest of the year, we see the price stayed around that point, around $350, and it was kind of flat. But in this year, 2024, over the last couple of months, we've seen it start to go up again, and most recently, it has reached $410. Now, Keepa have stopped tracking the sales rank down here. If you look at that, that does not mean there's no sales. It just means Keepa don't have the sales rank data anymore. But we can see this yellow line here, which do tell us that Amazon have started telling us these monthly sales numbers, and they have 50 sold per month approximately. So it's still being sold. It's still being sold at $410. Again, it's a $60 MSRP. This shows the strength of the collectability and the fandom for these helmet series sets. People love these sets, and they're willing to pay $410 for a retired TIE Fighter pilot helmet that they could have got for $60 back in 2021. So TIE Fighter pilot, we all know that this is an incredible investment, and we've talked about it quite a lot. This may be the last time that I talk about this in a video, because it's a big standout performer in the world of Lego investing, and it's a great example of what is possible. But this is not the only helmet series set that has been a great investment. So what else do we see here when we look at some of these other sets? The next one that we got to look at is Stormtrooper, because in the first year of retirement, at the end of 2021, there were two sets that retired at the same time. There were the TIE Fighter pilot and then the Stormtrooper helmet. Stormtrooper and TIE Fighter retired at the same time. Now, they were released at the same time as the Boba Fett helmet, but that one was kept around. It did not retire at the same time. It retired the following year. So we had Stormtrooper helmet and TIE Fighter pilot both retired at the end of 2021. Now, Stormtrooper helmet stayed in stock for a couple of months on Amazon. We can see this orange color right here. Amazon still had stock of it into April of 2022. And so the price did not go up at that point because Amazon were still selling it. But as soon as Amazon sold out right here, we can see this really nice bump in the price. And the price went from 60 to 100 pretty much immediately. Within probably a week or two, it went to $100. And a lot of people were buying this at 48 because it was commonly discounted. So the MSRP was 60, but it was commonly available at $48. You can see that price back here on Amazon. You could have been buying them at 48. Some people got them at an even better price. So if you were buying it at 48, and then as soon as Amazon sell out, you could sell it for 100. At that point, you're doing pretty well. After you pay your fees, you're probably somewhere in the region of an 80% return on investment. And in fact, let's just quickly calculate out a return on investment here, because I do have a return on investment calculator open here. And if you bought it at 48 and then you sold it here for 100, what would your return on investment be? So I'm using a bot right here that we created for our BrickBucks Ignite membership, and I'm plugging in the set number, and then I'm going to go with the purchase price of $48 and a selling price of $100. And what the bot's going to do here is going to calculate the return on investment for me. So the bot, which we call Bucky, has pulled up the set right here, and it showed us the image of the set. It tells us a little bit about the set, and then it tells us that our selling price is $100, and it tells us our shipping and platform fee if we were to sell this on Amazon, and our profit will be $30 a unit, which is a 62% return on investment. So immediately, within weeks of Amazon selling out of this set, you're on a 62% return with the Stormtrooper helmet. That's pretty good going already, but that's not where it stopped, because if you waited on it until year 2 of retirement, we see the price in the first quarter of year 2 have a really nice rise up here. We can see the buy box getting to $202 right here. Now, that was kind of the peak, because since then it has come back a little bit, and more recently the buy box is at 184.77. So right now, if you're to sell this, you're talking about 184 of a selling price. So if we do this calculation again real quick with the current price, then instead of selling it for 200 for 100, we're selling it for 185. And your return on investment is 213% at that point. That is if you bought it for $48, which is a 20% discount, because again, this is a $60 retail price. Even if you paid full price for this, you're doing pretty well when you're selling it for $185. But most of us, we want to get discounts on our sets, so we don't pay full price. We paid at least 20% off on this, which is $48 of a purchase price. 213% return. Now, real quick, just because we didn't do this when we were talking about TIE Fighter, what is the return on investment on this at $410 of sale price? Because I'm just curious about that. If we bought this for full MSRP, $60, and we're selling it for $410, you're talking about a 468% return on investment on TIE Fighter Pilot, $280 of profit per unit. And if you had 10 of these, you're talking about $2,800 of profit just on this one set, 10 units of this set, 468% return. So Stormtrooper helmet was a phenomenal investment as well. We know that TIE Fighter is crazy, but Stormtrooper was also crazy, not quite to the same level, but we do see immediate 60% return as soon as it went out of stock. And then after a year and a quarter, we're talking about a over 200% return on investment on Stormtrooper helmet. Phenomenal investment. Now, those were the first wave of helmet series sets to retire. They retired back at the end of 2021. And at the end of 2022, we see 2 more of these helmets retire. And in fact, we've seen 2 retire every year. And the 2 that retired at the end of 2022 are Boba Fett and Scout Trooper helmet. So let's quickly look at the charts on these. For Boba Fett, we see the current price is $96 on this one. As you can immediately tell just by looking at this chart, it does not have the same kind of crazy ramp up in price as the previous 2 that we just looked at, but it's still pretty good, right? You could have got this for $48. In fact, right here you can see the price was $45. It was a $60 MSRP, but it was always available at a little bit of a discount. You can see on Amazon it was $52 for a lot of the time here in the final year before retirement. Then it discounted to $45. Now, if you bought it for $45, you're doing pretty well at this, because again, right now it's selling for $96. Over the course of the first year of retirement, we do see a very quick ramp up to around $85 right here within weeks of retirement. And then it was kind of flat throughout 2023. It didn't move a whole lot until Q4. And then we do see the price ticking up there into the 90s, $91, $92. And then recently it went up to 100. So in 2024, the first couple of months, it peaked at 100. Right now it's down a little bit, down to 96. But it will definitely bounce back up to 99 or 100 pretty soon. I imagine this is just a lowball seller that came in and undercut everybody. But it was selling at 100 for those first couple of months in 2024. So if you bought it here for $45 and sold it at that $100 price, what would your return on investment look like? Let's quickly calculate this out. If we plug in the set number, our purchase price of $45 and our selling price of 100, you're talking about a 73% return on investment, a $33 profit per unit. Again, it's not terrible, 73% return. However, it's not anywhere close to those first 2 retired sets that we just looked at. But we are only a year and a half into the retirement of the Boba Fett helmet, so there is still time for this to continue to grow. I will be surprised if I don't see it at probably at least 120 by the end of 2024. And at that point, you're more than doubling your money if you did get it at that discounted price of $45 or even $52. If you bought it at the $52 purchase price, let's quickly check what your return would be if it does reach 120 this year. So if you bought it for $52, sold it for 120, then your return will be 83%. So even if you did pay a little bit more for this set, if you wait a little longer, you're still talking about pretty good return on investments on Boba Fett, but still not scratching the surface on what we saw with TIE Fighter and with Stormtrooper helmet. Okay, so next up we have Scout Trooper helmet. Now this is an interesting one because this is a much lower MSRP than the others. This was a $50 MSRP, and during some deals, this was available for $35. I bought a lot of this set for $35. Now when you compare that to some of the more expensive ones that have come out, like the Darth Vader helmet, it's kind of crazy how much value is inside the Scout Trooper helmet if you're able to get this for $35. So right here you can see it was readily selling on Amazon for $40, even during the non-deal seasons, just throughout the year before it retired in 2022, it was selling for $40. And when it sold out right here, we can see the price quickly rose to $73. Now, if you bought it for $40 and you're selling it for $73 within a couple of weeks, you're already profitable. You're already kind of in good shape at that point. Now, for the rest of 2023, it was pretty flat, right at around the $80 purchase price here. And in Q4, we saw a lot of demand. We see a spike in the sales, and then we do see the price start to rise up. And then more recently, in 2024, it has been selling somewhere in the region of $95 and as high as $98, and more recently it's at $97.40. So if you bought it right here for $40, and again, some people got it for $35, and some people probably got it lower than that, but if you bought it even here for $40, which you should have definitely been able to do, and you're selling it today for $97, what does that look like in terms of your return on investment? Let's quickly calculate this out. If we plug in our set number and then our purchase price of $40 and our selling price of $97, we see a return on investment of 91%. So you're almost doubling your money here on Scout Trooper in just over a year. So your whole time on this would have been a year and a little bit because it retired at the end of 2022. So you would have held it throughout 2023 and into 2024. And then you can sell at this kind of return on investment right away. $36.24 a unit right here. So again, if you bought it for $35, you're well over doubling your money. But even if you bought it for $40, you're almost there with 91% return on Scout Trooper helmet. So we see a pretty strong performer on Scout Trooper helmet. That is the 2022 retirees. Again, they didn't quite reach the same heights as the 2021 retirees, but Scout Trooper did pretty well. Boba Fett has a little bit of catching up to do. And then if we look at the 2023 retirees, and again, these are quite recent retirees, and so we don't expect to see massive returns already because it's just been a couple of months of retirement on these sets. But we have the Dark Trooper helmet here. This is 75343. This was a exclusive to Target in the US, and for that reason, Amazon were never in stock. We don't see that orange color here kind of showing us that Amazon were in stock. And the price was always a little bit inflated on Amazon, which is what happens if Amazon don't have stock of something. People are buying it in Target and selling it on Amazon, and it's a little bit inflated. This was a $60 purchase price, MSRP, but on Amazon we can see the price was always somewhere in the region of $78, $77. And that's why we don't see a massive rise in retirement here, because again, it was already a little bit inflated. But in the first couple of months of retirement here, we do see it selling for somewhere in the region of $91 at the buy box. And again, this was a $60 purchase price in Target, so you're already breaking even. You're a little bit profitable at that point after you pay your Amazon fees and shipping and everything. But it didn't stop there. It has gone up a little bit more, and we did see it hitting 102 at some points. It got up to 110. And that seems to be somewhere in the region of the peak. Right now it's at about $107.69. If you bought it for $60 full price and you sold it for $107, what is your return on investment on this one so far? So let's quickly check this on our return on investment calculator. Paid $60, sold for $107. You're talking about a 41% return on investment. So again, it's not quite reaching those same levels as the previous sets we've talked about, but we're just 5 months into retirement on this one. So it's really kind of early days. I'm curious to see what happens a year from now when it has had a year and a half in retirement. Do I think that this is going to keep going up? Absolutely I do. I think the supply on this is constrained. I think it has more runway to grow in price. If you got it at a discount, you're doing pretty well already, but even if you paid full price for it, you're getting a 41% return. So you're already doing pretty okay. So it's not the worst performance so far. 41%, it's still multiples of the stock market, right? So we're talking about just a couple of months of hold time for 41% return, $24 of profit per unit. But for me personally, I'm going to wait a little bit longer with my inventory of the Dark Trooper helmet before I go ahead and sell it. And then the last one that we've seen retire is going to be the Luke Skywalker helmet. This is also one that retired at the end of 2023. But the interesting thing about this one is that Amazon still have it in stock. This happens sometimes where Amazon have overstock of stuff. They have pallets and pallets of inventory in the back. I don't believe that it's intentional. I don't think Amazon are becoming Lego investors, because Amazon are not in the business of storage. They're in the business of turnover and moving inventory quickly. So whenever we talk about stuff still being in stock on Amazon for a couple of months after retirement, it's, in my opinion, no way is it Amazon becoming Lego investors. It's just overstock. It is Amazon kind of buying up a lot of supply toward the end of the manufacturing run and then kind of having some in stock for months into retirement. So that's what we're seeing here on Luke, and for that reason the price has not started to go up yet. It's currently available for $70 on Amazon, which is the MSRP. So it is currently available and we haven't seen the price go up yet. Amazon were out of stock for a little while there, and we did see the price go from 54 up as high as around, what is it here, 80, 85. So we do see a big rise in the price in those early weeks of Amazon selling out, but then Amazon came back in stock, and since then it's been selling at the MSRP. Now Amazon will run out of stock at some point, and when they do I expect this set to be a good investment? I think that if you bought this at a discounted price, which I did, I bought this at a pretty good price, then yes, absolutely, I think we're going to quickly see it rise back up to something like what we saw here with hitting 85, 90, and then onward from there. It's just taking a while longer because of Amazon having oversupply of this set. Do I think it's going to reach the same heights as Stormtrooper or TIE Fighter Pilot? Absolutely not. Do I think that it's going to reach the same heights even as Scout Trooper helmet? Probably not. And the reason for that is Scout Trooper was such a good value at that $40 price or even the $35 price that it doesn't take much to turn that around for 100% return on investment. Luke, I don't expect to be reaching the same returns as some of those other sets. And like I said, the fact that there's no more Helmet Series sets coming out in 2024 is definitely going to be a hindrance to this. The more recent retirees are not going to have the same level of excitement than those early retirees, because when TIE Fighter Pilot and when Stormtrooper retired, we still had multiple years of releases at that point. We had a lot of excitement. We had a lot of marketing from the LEGO Group of videos and launches in the stores. A lot of excitement around this series of sets, and that drove a lot of demand to go back and buy those old retired sets. And then we see those early sets being really strong performers. But now we're in the sunset years of the LEGO Helmet series. We're not seeing a new wave of sets this year. We're seeing less excitement about these, and we're seeing some of the demand turn to some of the other exciting themes in the world of Star Wars, such as the new displayable mini ships that they're releasing. And LEGO Group are turning their attention to some of those displayable ships, and that will be where some of the excitement tends to move toward. So what does this mean for the next Helmet Series sets to retire? Because like I said, we still have 5 Helmet Series sets that are not retired yet. We have Darth Vader helmet right here, which was supposed to retire in 2024, but it has been pushed out into 2025. And then we also have the Mandalorian helmet still available in stores. We have Captain Rex still available in stores. We have Clone Commander Cody, and we have Princess Leia Boushh helmet. All 5 of these sets are still available in stores. Now this year in 2024, Princess Leia and Commander Cody are the ones that are going to retire this year. So when we look at these 6 that have already retired and we're seeing strong performance, does this mean I'm going to be buying hundreds of units of Clone Commander Cody and Princess Leia this year? But here's the thing, as we've seen, the more recent retirees have had less return on investment than the earlier retirees. So I don't think we can look at all 6 of these retirees and think that this is definitely going to happen again with Princess Leia and Commander Cody. I think there are some question marks about what we can expect of the performance of the next retirements in this series of sets because of the LEGO Group moving their focus away from the helmets. And they could change it. They could decide next year in 2025 we will release some new helmets, and if that happens, I'll get really excited again about this series of sets as an investment. But as of right now, when this series of sets is kind of getting a little bit less exciting and there's less new releases and less focus on it, I'm less excited about this year's retirements in the helmet series. Does that mean I'm definitely not going to buy them? Not quite. I'm still going to consider them. I'm still going to look at them, but I'm less excited than I have been in the last couple of years on the helmet series of sets. And by no means do I think that anybody out there should look at the Stormtrooper helmet and TIE Fighter Pilot and think that it's a no-brainer to buy these helmets this year, because I think the circumstances are very, very different. The excitement about this series of sets is different, and I think the supply is going to be greater on these sets this year because we've had a couple of years of helmet series sets now, and LEGO investors think that it's a sure thing. And for that reason, I think these 2 sets that retire this year are going to have more supply than some of the previous years, but the demand is going to be a little bit lower than some of the previous years because of the lack of new sets and lack of promotion and excitement around the series. And when you have less demand and more supply, of course, the price growth will be a lot lower than what we've seen on some of these previous sets. But again, it does not mean that they won't be good investments. I will just be looking for a better price on the sets. I will definitely not be paying full MSRP for these sets, and I will just be going into it with a little more caution than I did back in 2021 and 2022 when I was super bullish on these helmets. I was making videos about TIE Fighter Pilot and Stormtrooper helmet and talking about how much of a good investment I thought that they were going to be. So some considerations about the helmet series of sets. They have been phenomenal. They've done very, very well for me as a LEGO investor. I hope you've had the same experience. But just some words of caution for this year. It is not going to be as easy as it has been over the last few years. So I hope you've enjoyed this. Looking back at this performance, and I've done really well with these investments over the last couple of years. I hope you have too. But this year, I think things have changed a little bit for the helmet series of sets. Let me know your thoughts. Which of the Star Wars helmets have been your favorite? Let me know in the comments down below. And once again, don't forget to grab that free 5-step guide for Lego investing in the description down below as well. Once again, thank you so much for being here. I'm Shane from brickbox.net, and make this your year to lift off and be free.